Alright, in this section we're going to look at the way, just sort of an overview of the way that iOS and a lot of other sort of modern programming setups divide up responsibility. It's referred to as a model view controller setup or pattern, and basically there's three pieces. There's the model, which is basically the data that you're using. This could be like, just a list of items. It could be something in a database. This is the basic data that you're working with. And then the view, the job of the view is to display the model. So the model doesn't have like display information or color or bold or anything like that. The model is just the data. The view, again, doesn't know anything about the actual data. It just knows I need to display things this way. And the other job of the view is to deal with input from the user. So the view basically has those two jobs, dealing with presenting the model information to the user and then getting input. The view then takes that and sends it to something that sits in the middle called a controller. And the job of the controller is to kind of coordinate all of this information. The controller gets data from the model, that returns to the controller sends it to the view. The view then displays that information. User interacts with the view, that comes back to the controller. Something changes from that, the change goes back to the model, and the whole thing just sort of goes back and forth. It may seem a little bit complicated at first, but it ends up being a helpful distinction, in that sort of everything has a role to play, and it divides things up neatly. So that's whenever you hear model view controller, that's the idea that's being talked about. In the quiz app that we're looking at, the model that we're using for the questions and answers is going to be a list. This is an item called an array, and it basically works as a list. There's a first item, and then so on. There's one for the questions, one for the answers. So that's the model. And all of the declaration setup of this we'll do in a little bit. I just want you to see sort of the whole picture at the beginning. The controller that sits in the middle in all of the iOS descriptions is called a view controller, which sort of emphasizes that it's the controller for a view and not a controller for something else. So when you start, for example, when you opened your quiz project, you ended up with a quiz view controller, and that's that's what we're going to work with here. And this is again the controller's job is to kind of coordinate everything. So the controller has in it what question is the current question, so then it can get the question and answer from the model and send that up. If it didn't keep track of it, then it would be hard to keep these coordinated. And then the view part is actually the piece we built already, with the buttons and the two labels that we added. So their job is the label's job is to display information that was in the model, and then the buttons handle the interaction with the user. And basically what they do is, when you tap one of those buttons, that information gets sent back to the controller, and the controller does something. So we'll build all of these pieces separately, and like I said, I just wanted to kind of mention the whole picture sort of at once, so you can see and sort of expect what the different pieces were going to be. So the next part will be we'll go back to the interface for the view controller, which is the quiz view controller.h, and we'll get these pieces declared so that we can move forward.